Alrighty, so this is what I'm down to. It's April now. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the video research done in March just because of reasons. This is what I'm down to for books that have audiobooks. This one, I literally put the dust jacket back on this one just for this video, but this one I'm there. So almost done. This one I need to read, and then obviously these two I need to read as well. This one's a library book. So these are the books with audiobooks, and then I have still 6-ish with not audiobooks that I need to get through, which are going to take longer. I'm hoping desperately I can have this out by the end of the month. This is just for the books with audiobooks, but I will be able to get all 4 of them done this week, this way, and I'm breaking it down really, really, really easily. And these hours are just estimates because I don't listen to the audiobook at the speed that it comes in. So it'll probably end up being less than that. But yeah. And I'm about to research this one here. I'm about to read this one here, which is Dreamland by Bob Lazar or Lazar. I don't know. By the way, Amazon, I'll link it down below, not affiliated. It's actually not even 4 books, but it's the best book stand I've ever bought, and I'm using it for that. So yeah, I just need to get through this, and I just need to get through as much as I humanly can. So I'm having one of those moments where I'm like, really? So I'm reading Dreamland by Bob Lazar or Lazar. I'm not sure. And he's claiming that because he'd been in straight races that the sports car was, first of all, he's claiming that he's being like fully detailed by like the CIA poorly. Anywho, aside that, he then claims that they shot out his tire. However, as somebody who's been on the road as much as I have and traveled as much as I have, you learn pretty quickly that a tire bursting sounds pretty much like a gunshot. And, you know, it sounds more like to me like he actually like ran over a nail and that burst his tire. It's just like at this point he's so this whole thing is hard to believe, beyond hard to believe, for the record. But that is just one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I realize that just because you're paranoid doesn't mean, you know, you're not being followed, but sometimes you're just being paranoid, and this seems like paranoia, full on paranoia. Yeah, I'm going paranoia. Well, that was a ride. Look, it's not boring and it's not hubristic. Again, even if it's fictitious, and I'm really trying not to weigh my opinions on stuff like this, but on the believability, it's interesting. So not only does he start in the preface with, oh, I was pretty normal. I was just a very successful businessman with about 3 businesses. I bought 2 fancy cars when, you know, me and my wife were successful. My wife bought this fancy stuff. You know, normal stuff. And then he just drops in a normal sentence. Also, keep in mind, this book was not written then. When was this book written? This book was published in 2019. But so when this actually happened was like the late 80s. He just drops, yeah, part owner of a legal brothel in Nevada. In like a sentence that's supposed to be just normal. That he was just a normal average guy. And I'm just like, hold up, rewind and freeze. Just the chillness of, oh yeah, I partially owned a legal brothel in Nevada is just so, wait, what? Hold on. hold up. 1 second. Just 1 second. What? And then, you know, like 2 sentences later, he goes on about how his first wife, because this man has been married like 3 times, ends up committing suicide because she found out she had pancreatic cancer. Which, for the record, is not a normal reaction to finding out one has pancreatic cancer. Or any kind of cancer. Casually mentions that he was a workaholic. Oh, and by the way, he owned a and I'm not making this up, rocket car. Now, regardless of anything else, any of his story is true. And regardless of anything else at all, why the fuck would the US government think that this guy was a good idea to show UFOs? On the believability. So on top of that, he's just like, oh yeah, then I was just like taken into a government facility and exposed to this exceedingly classified information, of levels of classified that they don't even talk about, which, yes, is a real thing. I verified that. Without finishing his background check. Now, I know the US government is a little bit dumb sometimes, but how the hell, how in the actual fuck would anybody be allowed to look at something that is that classified, that's a civilian, that is that classified, only signing an NDA? All he freaking claims he signed was like a high-level NDA. Tell me why. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Again, I realize that they can pull strings or whatever, but in my mind, and logic would also dictate, not that that's reality, but logic would dictate that you would not allow somebody to view something like that without having a full background check done on them. Because duh. And then you have to believe that not only tons of factors go into this, but one has to believe that everything, the crash at Roswell, well, between Roswell, New Mexico and Corona, New Mexico. Yes, there's a town called Corona. That between those two, which is where the crash site actually was, is whatever, was actually an extraterrestrial craft that somehow survived enough that there were materials that the US could test, and was somehow both advanced enough that intergalactic travel was possible, interstellar travel, to be more accurate, was possible. More than likely, either bending space-time, bending space, and or dark matter travel was possible. But yet the US government could reverse engineer it. Oh man, it is so fucking hard to believe. Wow. Not only do you have to believe all of that, and believe that the US government through 1940s through to the 1980s could reverse engineer this. Also have to believe that the Soviets had no idea that it happened. You also have to believe that they were dumb enough to let a man without the security clearance required even in the goddamn building. I can't. Oh man, not to say that it's a bad book. It's not a bad book. It's really not. Well written, it's interesting, it's It's a quick read. I read this over about 2 weeks, but I really read it in about 4 big sessions. It's quick to read. It's entertaining. So like as a book, it's not bad. It's just hard to believe, to put it mildly. Extremely one of the least wacky in, this is exactly what all the conspiracies say it is. The conspiracy is actually fully the truth. And this is one of the least wacky books. I have a couple that are like super. Read this if you're interested. I'm not telling people not to read the book. I'm just saying. What the fuck? Okay, I'm gonna go do something else now for a little bit so my brain can have a break.